What's up, guys? This is Ninja on Ninja, and as you can see, there's a video next to me, and I'm basically gonna be responding to it because, um, well, to be frank, there was a few situations that came up, right? Like, what the hell? Um, that's weird. Okay, there you go. So I gotta do it in theater. What the hell? Uh, huh.
Universities were using these policies to discriminate against Asian
Okay.
students and other kinds of students. So a vast majority of Americans do not want affirmative.
So this is a good opportunity. Basically, what I saw was a good opportunity because he brings up a fair interest that society has, and I just kind of want to correct it. You know, being who I am and what I do is I've kind of realized this is what I'm supposed to do. This is me. This is my life. I just correct, like you aim and you do this, and I just make it better. That's all I do. I just correct it, or I put you back on track. It's whatever. Like I put you back on the rails, the whole 9 yards. So basically, check it out.
Of action. They do not believe in these forced racial preferences. And I'm defining them that way because our schools are still segregated.
Hello, everybody. Guys, let's get right into the CNN panel and we'll talk about it.
Is diversity, equity, and inclusion in corporate America dead? Looking at some recent headlines, you might say that it is, with companies like Walmart, John Deere, and others saying they're ditching their DEI efforts. But despite the public rollbacks, a CNN analysis shows DEI actually isn't going anywhere. It's just changing. Solomon is back with us. A lot of these companies are changing how they talk about it, but they're still engaging in the practices. And the reason why is because there's a lot of research that says that it helps companies make more money. It helps them perform better than their competitors. They're just trying to stay away from the public blowback, it seems.
Well, I mean, let's not pretend that corporate America doesn't have a problem with race, doesn't have a problem.
Well, first off, I just want to say, if you look, like most of those girls, like they look good, and that pisses me off because you know damn well in reality she don't look that good, right? She don't look anywhere near as good as she's pretending to be. And that whole Hollywooding of everybody has to look that good to be on stage ever needs to die because literally we set it up where only the lambs want to speak, and that's what's fucking up America. Is like unless you look good, we don't want you. But the problem is, most of the people that look good don't. We don't listen to them. We look at them. We don't listen to them. And most of the people that don't look good had to find they. It's kind of like going level from 0 to 10 on easy mode for you on the hot person, and they went from level 0 to 10 on extreme hard mode. And I would listen to the person who went on extreme hard mode and what they did because chances are it relates to you and whatever difficulty you have. It's gonna make your life. Let's say you have it on easy, like I did when I grew up. Like if I listen to someone who played on hard mode and it was easy mode for me, I'm gonna fly through it. You know what I'm saying? So
Problem with diversity, they do. But I think the color they care the most about is green. And so the first thing that
true.
happened with DEI was you had the George Floyd protests. You had a lot of pressure, both nationally and internationally, for companies to really commit to doing something about what was happening with race and racism in America. And now you have the blowback from that. That always happens. We see it historically, that whenever there are advances where race and other matters of diversity are concerned, they're always blowback. And so they're looking at the money. That's all they care about. Now the pressure is coming from the right. Before the pressure was coming from the left. If it comes from the left again, they'll move back to where they were.
And guys, you're seeing that right now with the media, right? You saw MSNBC with Morning Joe and how they capitulated to Trump and went to Mar-a-Lago. And that's why this stuff is dangerous. Guys, just 4 years ago, Republicans, about 50% of them supported DEI, right, in the initiative. Now that number's down to 20%. because of people like Scott Jennings, Charlie Kirk, and all these people in the right wing that are so prominent online, attacking it, calling it anti-white, anti-American, racist, all this crap. That's why it's important to keep fighting, keep talking, and keep, if it's another option, right? When somebody looks up online, goes on YouTube and looks up something on DEI or woke, that they're not just overwhelmed with right-wing garbage, that there's at least some balance with channels like mine, Roland Martin's.
So, already, here's the thing about DEI. I forgot what it stands for. What does DEI stand for? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay, so the problem with DEI is that it's race based. It's still racism. Like, because you're black, we're gonna listen to you. Now, I understand that because they only hire white people. So I understand, like, but I explain it. Like, I get it to a certain point. Like, you need to factor in other people. 1 second. Important phone call. Okay. Okay. I think. Check. Okay. So, where was I? Sorry, that was an important phone call.
Right? There's a bunch of guys that do it. That there's at least some balance with channels like mine, Roland Martin, right?
Oh,
There's a bunch
so those
that do it. Well,
it's
let's talk about race. There's not that many. Reese Waters.
Performative stuff in the post-George Floyd era we could all live without, to be honest. I mean, I don't really need to see Coca-Cola's whatever, just using that as a random example. But some of these corporations were just trying to virtue signal while doing nothing actually about what's going on within their companies.
Yeah, I think the question is, do you want diversity, equity, and inclusion? That's the first question. It's kind of like a chart. And then if it's no, then okay, then the conversation ends. And if it's yes, then it's like, how do you actually get there? From 2020, even in that year, many companies did, again, symbolic postings on their website. But to do real DEI work takes the intervention is not just one office with one person who does a webinar once a year during Black History Month or Women's History Month. You really have to evaluate your practices, your protocols, and really make a long-term commitment. It takes time to change some of the practices that were, and you have to decide you want to do it. Now, I do think the analysis may say it's not going away, but we do know after the Supreme Court affirmative action decision, beyond just higher education institutions, many corporations, many other institutions started to look at that as a signal that they could start rolling their DEI practices. And to add the cultural component on top of it, it is not as if some people of a certain political party have not even used the word DEI as a trope, as a slang, as a term of slander. And so the question is, like, what is the real intention behind your work you do with
Well,
DEI?
I think you raise an excellent point, actually.
And guys, even schools, even they're pushing, pulling back, right? This is why politics is important. And guys, let me know what you think in the comments. I like these panels, even though I get pissed off sometimes with some of these perspectives. There are a bunch of different perspectives and quick snippets that gives me an idea, at least, of what may be a bunch of people in the
right. Let's see. He's like me in the fact that he takes in information from a group, but I generalize and come up with the answers myself. I don't listen to Fox or CBS or any news outlet like Beyond the Destiny, for example, who tells me how to think. You know what I'm saying? I don't listen to people who tell me how to think or how I should feel, or if they'll say like the grotesque testing results came back and like it's preloaded, much like why I don't like whatever his name is, Luke Beasley or some shit, Baisley or whatever. I don't like him because it's preloaded. Like the term nigger, for example, a nigga, it's preloaded. Basically, like it's just a word. But if you want to add depth to it, context that wasn't there, then that's something else. And this is the same thing. Like if you say black person, you're adding context. Or news, and then they're reporting something and they're adding context. Like you're changing it. It should just be a color. It doesn't matter. It's just that's your color.
Whether I agree with it or not.
Most kids like, whoa, that's crazy. You're dark, but they'll fuck them.
I can tell you, you're absolutely right. You have a tremendous number of companies that have these great ads where they're talking about their diversity, equity, inclusion work, but the work doesn't actually exist. And what they do is they silence their workers with forced arbitration and NDAs and the first day rule, which means that if you are racially discriminated against, the very same companies, and I know who they are, you're watching these commercials where they're constantly having the African-American husband with the Asian wife, and they're talking about how, they're all about inclusion. In reality, what they're doing is they're telling their African-American workers or their female workers or their gay or lesbian workers, keep your mouths shut because you have an arbitration clause or an NDA and you can't talk about what's going on at this company. And so, the hypocrisy I could do without. And actually, we're launching to be able to tell you which of these companies silence their workers. I think that is the
That I don't agree with.
key to making sure that you have a diverse workforce, because by doing these silencing mechanisms, they're driving out the very people they pretend to want to enfranchise, because it's people of color and women who are mostly affected by them, and they're being driven out of the workforce, out of their chosen careers, because of these silencing mechanisms. I think it is crucial to get rid of those.
Ashley also
Guys, I just want to say one thing. Right, they don't have time to really delve deep into it, but the reason why companies do better with people of different backgrounds is because of that very thing. It'll give you different perspectives into solving problems. Sometimes it's not just about the person with the best reading and math scores. Maybe that's necessary for some employees or some students in the school, but sometimes you need
Fair point.
other characteristics.
Fair
Right?
point.
Is a person resilient? Are they hardworking? Right? One thing that comes to mind, the people that come from low-income neighborhoods, if both of them, their grades are close, but one person's grades are a little bit better, and this person that came from a really rough upbringing, low-income housing, and they're just a couple points away, really, as a school, would you really take the student with the best score always? Of course not. It's the same thing with companies. Sometimes this person clearly started from so behind or with a weight vest on and still got to the end of the hill.
mentioned higher education. I mean, we did get some signals about what's been going on.
That
at
is
Harvard,
true.
Harvard Law. they saw a huge decline in Black and Hispanic students. They enrolled 19 first-year Black students, 3% of the class, the lowest number since the 1960s. The school also saw a steep decline for Hispanic students, just 39 students, a fall from 63 back in 2023. So there's been a clear decline as a result of, this is the affirmative action ruling from the Supreme Court.
I think some universities were using these policies to discriminate against Asian students and other kinds of students. So
other kinds of students, come on. And for him to mention Asians, that's rich. What a little slimy prick. We all know he was talking about white people. He doesn't give a shit about Asians. Come on.
pick your discrimination. Who do you want to be discriminated against? Wouldn't the fair way to do it would be to say, we're going to look at everybody's test scores, we're going to look at everybody's applications, and we're going to do it agnostic of race, and we're going to let the most talented and the most accomplished students come to our universities. You mentioned the Supreme Court ruling, by the way, on affirmative action, which I do believe was a seminal moment, because it reminded me, when it happened, that a vast majority of Americans do not want affirmative action. They do not believe in these forced racial preferences, and even a majority of African Americans agreed with the ruling at the time. And so when some people, often accuse Republicans are on the right, but I think a lot of Americans all across the spectrum look at this and say, I want to rise and fall based on my own talent and my own hard work. I don't want to rise and fall based on the pressures being put on me by people who don't know how much work I'm putting in.
This is unbelievable, but DEI is not saying give somebody a chance that doesn't deserve it. Companies are profitable because it's not because they're hiring a bunch of unqualified people. This is silly. It's just to say, all right, and this is a big problem with this frame of thinking. Because low-income people tend to be minorities, right? We all know why. These neighborhoods also have lower resources in their schools. Less textbooks, less teachers per student, a bunch of different scenarios. That makes it harder for a young kid in these lower-income neighborhoods, which tend to be black and white neighborhoods, to get a equal education as their fellow white American. And if we don't do something about that, black and Hispanic people are always going to be down here. You have to do something to help that out. There's 1,000 different ways to do it, but DEI is definitely a way. And again, it's not just about give me the person with the best test scores. It shouldn't be on that, because in the real world, it's not just about people with the best test scores in this or that. It's also about the other part of this person, their background, their experiences, their perspectives.
Talk about fairness, because I think when you talk about fairness in education and bringing people in according to their grades and according to their test scores, first you have to fairly fund the schools that they come from.
First and foremost, what he's talking about right there is education. It's not intelligence. You're hiring someone because of their education. Okay? This is an important detail, because most places will not hire me because they wouldn't hire me back then because I was highly intelligent, basically. I'm so intelligent now. It's just I'm old and I'm disabled. And I've been disabled. I've only worked like a year or 2 years in my whole entire life. 3 years, including everything from before 18. We'll say 4 years. Anyways, like in total, 4 hard years of actual work. But anyways, the point is, they wouldn't hire me because I was very intelligent, basically, and that's kind of what he's talking about as far as math scores and whatnot go. That's education. Anything you get from a book or like an instruction from somebody else is education. That's not personal experience. That's not intelligence. That's education. Intelligence is something different. And again, I'm highly intelligent, and that's why they did not hire me. And that's kind of what I wanted to bring up.
In Pennsylvania, we just had a ruling that
After all of this, and let him make his point, let him post his video, let him say what he's going to say. I want to create your thoughts and, guide you down the path. I think his path is correct.
funded according to
In fact. Oh, I already am. Apparently, I never did, but okay.
right? And so
YouTube has done that, by the way. They for some reason, they're just like, they randomly suddenly have 200 subscriptions. I'm like, what the hell?
says poverty
And I gotta go through it and undo it.
that aren't getting the money that they're supposed to get. There are some black school districts that aren't getting the money that they're supposed to get. And
Yep.
I'm defining them that way because our schools are still segregated, even after Brown versus the Board of Education.
I was also
Separate is not equal.
I was
It's
just reading
not.
a headline.
And by the way, DI is things like DI and woke is meant to help lower income white people out there, which I know a lot of you are MAGA. It's meant to help you guys. It's meant to help lower income. It's just that the overwhelmingly majority of lower income people tend to be black and Hispanic.
most people I don't know what he's talking about right there. That's kind of stupid. If you're a low income white person, you're kind of fucked, admittedly, because you're not on the radar as far as that goes. Because you should have gotten. You're white and you should have done better. Okay, stupid. Anyways, what was the point? Fuck. Yeah,
Woke
I forgot. She's
is
here.
meant to help
So.
lower income white people out there, which I know a lot of you are MAGA. It's meant to help you. It's meant to help lower income. It's just that the overwhelmingly majority of lower income people tend to be black and Hispanic.
That's so
I've said this
true.
already. White Americans compared to the black American, on average, they have 13 times the amount of wealth. Guys, you know what 13 times is?
in the New York Times today about a lawsuit against a bunch of elite schools, Georgetown, Penn, and MIT. And guess what the preferences are? For people whose mommies and daddies have a lot of money and they just got a ticket into the school. I just don't get, where's the outrage about that? That's been going on in this country for hundreds of years.
I don't agree with that either.
Where's the outrage? Why are we only focused on race when this is affirmative action?
But I do have something to say about what you just said.
No, I just wanted to say that I think that the whole issue of DEI became much more prevalent when there were issues in the military. I think a lot of people were very put off by some of the contradictions, concerned that our soldiers weren't really ready for their missions and were more concerned about DEI or more concerned about their pronouns that they used. And this was, I think, part of what really set off a lot of Republicans and conservatives that, you know, they started to look into DEI initiatives and are they working and what do they really mean?
I think one of the things about the affirmative action decision
Or what they're becoming is another thing too, because just because, again, like the word nigger, the context behind it changes. So it depends. Like 50 people from my mouth to the 50th person, they may be racist. They're just quoting me, right? As far as my story, they may mean it innocently, but because of their history, everybody that knows them, they took it to mean that it comes with the luggage. It's just like Luke, how he applies the luggage onto it. It's the same thing. It's just at the opposite end. They're coming to the same conclusion of adding weight to it. It's just they're not in the middle, and that's where I am. I'm trying to connect the two sides, and I realize that it's context. It's all about context, right? That's what it comes down to. So
that is a misconception is that there is this belief of what is the merit-based system if you're just looking at grades, but what actually adds to the quality of the discussion in a classroom at a higher education institution. Diversity of lifestyle also is something that you don't want everyone to come from the same walk of life. You don't want everyone to have the same ideology. That is not the rigor of it's.
You may also not want them to have the same test scores.
That's right.
Well,
I also will say I understand when the decision. I don't know the source that you quoted, but we do know in affirmative action that white women have actually been the biggest beneficiaries of affirmative action. And even though the lawsuit was brought and it was brought with Asian American plaintiffs,
test scores are dumb. Tests don't matter.
their numbers have also decreased. So
It would be like saying get on stage and perform and saying you suck because you didn't perform. That's what a test is.
they're also seeing backlash from that.
all right, we do have to go, Scott, unfortunately.
Especially where it took place and when it took place and how and why. Like, it's all relevant. It all matters. Same thing that they're talking about where some schools are funded, some schools aren't. Some money's supposed to be there, some money isn't. So
That got him. He was gonna be ready to drop some racist stuff. But I have two things to say about that. She's completely right about the background of experiences. But this test score thing, it really annoys me because, again, I mentioned this earlier on the channel. If a school has one teacher per 15 students and 15 textbooks for each of those students, and another school has one teacher for 30 students and only have 15 textbooks they have to share, don't you see that the quality of education, the ability, the chances that these people, lower income people, are going to have to get a fair education as well as their fellow.
and again, he's making an argument. And sure, fair, yeah, but that's exactly why they're so against immigration. Because now you're over flooding the system. That's the problem. But the problem with the Republicans and you again, you're connected from across the world. Like you're adding the word nigga, you're adding context. Like Luke, you're adding context to a word because it's a word, and you just add context to make it. Oh, it's racist because it's a word, and it's racist, and it's not just a word, it's racist. Meanwhile, over here, they're actually racist. So when they say the word, they intentionally mean in the racist. Not, it's not just a word away, right? And you guys are divided and split, and you have a vast difference between you two, but you're still connected in the same stupid way you think because you're not looking at the context that matters. And you would understand by the time one side got to the other, you'd realize there's nothing there. And you're like, oh, okay. And so now both of you would see the word as just being a word, and you probably would stop using it altogether because now it's the victim card goes away, and now the racism of the word goes away, and so there's no point anymore. The word loses all meaning, and it's just like the word bacon. Like, oh, like why am I not saying bacon? You know, the reason why you're saying a word is because it has meaning or impact or whatever. And so if you understood the word, that wouldn't have any more meaning because you understand it. But because you're so stupid your own way, Luke and racists, um, basically because you're so stupid in your own way, you're adding the context. And that's why the word has value because you're making it valuable. Whereas everyone else is just like, it's just a word. It's who cares? It's just a word.
White America have to share. Don't you see that the quality of education, the ability, the chances that these people, the lower income people, are going to have to get a fair education as well as their fellow white American, it's just not fair. Everyone knows that if you have
Immigration
more
sucks.
students, that helps the kids.
That's what you're saying.
There's more one-on-one. There's more chances to fully
He's agreeing with immigration.
Help understanding something.
Or disagreeing with it. He's agreeing with the people who disagree with it.
And yeah, the resources thing. You have to fund these places. Like they don't want to admit to that, but you have to fund it, right? You have to create incentives for teachers to even want to teach in the Bronx. Why would they want to teach there?
Mm-hmm.
It's rough neighborhoods, low pay, a bunch of kids per students. You're not even making it desirable for teachers to go teach there. It's probably just going to keep perpetuating. And Black and Hispanic Americans are being held back.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll catch
That. So he's gonna go.
you next week.
Some universities were using.
So basically, what he ended with is actually the main problem. Basically, and what it comes down to is the fact. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So the main problem at the end of the day is the fact that it's not funded. They're underpaying it like by a lot. The only people that do it for the money because they just need a check. But for everyone that doesn't do it for the money, they have a better. They understand that they deserve more money, even though they're not doing it for the money, right? So they don't do it. You might find somebody who's a good teacher who does it for pennies on the dollar, right? They do exist, but that's not the point. I will say that I was in school, and they unfunded a lot of the teachers there, and all we had left were shitty teachers that didn't exist anymore. Or I'm sorry, that the school didn't exist anymore. Like a lot of girls went and they loved dance, but that was because a certain teacher and because the teacher loved dance. And who they got was just someone that would taught from the book, and the whole heart of it was gone. And a lot of the girls stopped taking dance. You know, that's kind of what happened. Is the heart went away. But it's not because of DEI or blah, 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 blah. It's because they're cutting the money and they're not paying anywhere near as much as they used to. For various reasons, for various greeds, you know, people want to be billionaires and trillionaires. Like, the money goes somewhere. We don't have unlimited money. You have to understand that if I get $1 and I hold $1, that's $1 that the system will never see again. And there's somebody in the world that has trillions, and they're just constantly taking more, taking more, taking more, less and less and less for everybody, because it's all going over there, and it's just recircling all over there, and you get none of it, because we have a little pump out here, like, that's our pump. Meanwhile, the boom, boom, boom for two people that own 50% of the world, or the lower 50% of America, which is kind of a dumb statement. But anyways, so the last thing I wanted to say before I go was, this I think is the big problem. What I was saying, I'm intelligent and people don't hire me because I'm intelligent. Yeah. That's what I think happens with bosses in general, is they hire people who are stupid instead of trying to find someone who's the best fit for the job. What they do is they hire somebody who's shut the hell up and will be a bottom feeder for the rest of their life, so that the boss can just sit in the break room and getting paid top dollar to do nothing all day, while they all sit there and work because they're stupid sheep and they're stupid animals, and they have no thoughts, no theories of their own. So good, so good, so good, right? And that's the problem. It's those people, those guys. It's not the people that are filling the rings. It's not the immigration. It's not the fact that employees are available. It's the fact that the employers are hiring the people that they shouldn't. Basically, they're taking advantage of the situation. Don't blame them. Like, that's what they're doing, is they're causing this huge, like, drain on America, and they're blaming everybody else. They're the cancer literally killing off the world, and they're blaming everybody else. They're all saying, "Oh well, America has a life, and the dream's gonna end, and nothing's forever," and they make it seem normal. But they're just saying, like, yeah, we're gonna take over America, and we're gonna own America, and the whole dream that was America is gonna end because it's gonna be a dictatorship, and I'm gonna own it. Basically, that's all they're doing, is just taking more and more and more. And again, in America, it needs to take their money and take it away. And again, you should never be rich. Like, that should never be your goal in America. Should never be to be rich. The whole Elon Musk thing, like, the fact that he popped out and he came out to be what he is, he changed the world. But the problem is, it should not be supported. It should eventually, like, he's like, boop, and he should eventually back into normal. Because the whole world needs to exist. But all the money is being forced over there, and there's nothing left over here. It's all the money over there. Like, that's stupid. That makes no sense. So anyways, yeah, it's intelligence, and they don't hire intelligence. They want dumb people so they can have an easy job for the rest of their life, and they can be a boss for the rest of their life, and they want you to be a dumbass, and this is why you have so many cops with, the small dick problem, and they want to fight you instead of just talk to you, and they don't serve you, and they try to own you. And again, Sean Paul Reyes, that's why he has problems, and he faces problems because of what I'm talking about. And chances are it's because, like, he's talking to somebody, a bully, chances are someone who doesn't know, right? And they're trying to take advantage of the fact that you know even less. They're hoping they can only exist because you don't know the reality, right? So, because that's what it was. Like, in school, I had bullies 24/7, right? But because of who I was able to get along with the bullies and made them my friends eventually. And like there's a table of hot girls. I could sit there and get along with them. Dumb girls, the retards, jocks, losers, nerds, scientists, geeks, dorks, amazing people, Amazonians, like the whole fucking god. Alright, anybody, that's me. I could have got along with them. Basically, I was just chilling with them, so I see the whole I see everything, right? Anyways, hard to explain, but that's what I do. Anyways, yeah, take it out, keep easy, good night, peace.